Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of the Purposeful Life Show with your host, Adrian Starks. I'm excited to share some new updates of the show with you, starting with a new look, sound, and energy, as well as a variety of guests coming aboard with intriguing topics of conversation. I hope you enjoy the new level of energy that will be brought to the show. Thank you for all of your support since the very beginning in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years already? Because of you, the Purposeful Life Show is now in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, and we aim to get it into the top 1%. Continue listening to the show and share it with others. You can also now listen to the show on my Facebook page at Adrian Starks, where you can comment in real time and communicate with me about your aha moments. Thank you again for all of your support, and let's make this one hell of a year and be purposeful about doing that. Wishing you all much love and success. Is it hard to make some key changes in your life? Do you ever feel stuck, uncertain, frustrated, and fearful to make the choices that could actually cause you to lose something, maybe a person or a thing? Do you see patterns showing up in your life of the undesired outcomes, the things you don't want? It's time to consider what you can change. Join us on our new podcast episode, The Soulful Journey, Creating a Life to Love. Hi, my name is Adrian Starks, and welcome to the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up Podcast. This podcast is for the courageous creators wanting to create a life of meaning, adventure, and fulfillment, all while helping to make the world a better place. I'm happy you're here, and if you're new to our show, make sure to give us that 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Also, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Champion Up. It is always that one idea that could be your breakthrough. It's time to step into your courage and believe the champion in you. Welcome, everyone, to the Champion Up Podcast, the Purposeful Life Show. My name is Adrian Starks. I'm your host, and I welcome you back to another amazing episode here on the Champion Up Podcast. Before we get started today, make sure to give us that 5-star rating and subscribe to the show so you can be on the receiving end for more amazing content. Today's episode, this brand new episode, is about the soulful journey, creating a life to love. And I have a special guest on. Her name is Michelle Bateman. Michelle, can you say hello to our guest?
Hey, everybody.
Well, hey, Michelle, we're happy to have you today. And Michelle Bateman is a transformational coach, a speaker, writer, and owner at Soul Journey Transformations. Michelle's mission is to help women discover who they are and create a life that they love. She does this through coaching, workshops, corporate events, and destination retreats. Welcome to the show today, Michelle. We're happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited to have you here. And I love this idea of the soul journey transformations. You know, I believe that we're all on a journey here in this planet, but a lot of us get lost along the way. We get bumped around and we think that, oh, maybe this is not where I should be. But I love the fact that you are talking particularly about our souls going through a journey. And I'm so happy to really share with our audience today what that looks like for them and how they can get on their path and their mission in life. You know, what inspired you to want to do this kind of work, Michelle?
You know, I was kind of thrown into it after my life fell apart and I was going through my second divorce and I had 2 little kids to take care of. And I was in a really lonely, empty second marriage that I thought would be the answer to all the things that I didn't have in my life. And so when that fell apart and I had to figure out how to put my life back together again, I was really bitter and angry and unhappy. And I actually wanted to smother my husband with a pillow. I didn't do it. But in that moment of having those thoughts of realizing that that's not who I am and I don't know how to be happy, that I began searching to figure out how to be happy and how to have some kind of life that I could maybe enjoy, because I knew there had to be something more than the life that I was living for myself.
You know, I believe we can all agree with things happening in our life that we don't want. I mean, who wants to have any changes that will disrupt how we feel in our happy state? you mentioned that you went through your second divorce, and I can feel where you're coming from. I have went through a divorce myself as well, not two, but one. But that one divorce actually put me into a state and a position in my life where I felt like, what is going on? And why am I going through this? And I really felt angry at the person. I felt angry at the environment. And when I went through my transformation, then I realized that things were not as bad as I had thought them to be. But I love this perspective of you taking what you have experienced, which was one of those low moments in your life. We call it the dark night of the soul, when we feel
Absolutely.
that deepness, right? And you turn it into something magnificent. This is why I wanted you on the show, Michelle, because you're a courageous creator. You took something and you said, I am going to make something magnificent out of this for myself. And so you came up with the Soul Journey Transformational Perspective. What made you decide upon that name?
It was a process of just trying on so many different things. And the irony of what we ended up deciding is I went on a little personal journey to Sedona about a year and a half before that. So there was some things happening in my life, and I took off and I rented a red convertible and went to Sedona and was kind of trying to find myself and to heal. And so when I got home, I wanted to post informational and inspirational stuff. And I created a page called, I think, The Soulful Journey. And so when we were brainstorming names and I went back to change the page, I was like, oh, the irony of it was really what I had intended all along was, so we just called it The Soul Journey, because I knew that it was the process, that we would never arrive, that you're never done. It's the journey. It's not the destination. And, really working in our soul.
I love that. You have a quote here that I'm going to quote you back on that I love. And you say that it's not in the destination that we learn and grow. It's the journey that our soul takes to remove what's in the way of our magnificence. Wow.
Sometimes you surprise yourself.
You're like, I wrote that. It's amazing. And, what convertible, actually, I want to go back to this. What convertible were you driving? You said red convertible. I don't think it was a Mustang. It was similar to a red Mustang. I'm a girl. I don't know. What's the other car that's similar to a Mustang? The Chevy version of that. Chevy version. Oh, the Camaro.
Yes. Yeah, I had a red smoking hot Camaro convertible, and I thought it was the best.
I love that. So if you're listening today, which I know you are, if you're hearing us talk right now, you should try thinking about getting you a convertible yourself, renting one, going out and just going on this journey, this ride, to clear your mind of anything, or just getting your car somewhere and just clear that space that you may have right now that you feel like everything is crushing down on you. Michelle, you believe that every woman, and you also believe that every person, this is every person in general, should know how to change their life. I love this belief that you have. You talk about they should know. But what do you find is a consistent theme or challenge for people in general being afraid to do this, to change their life?
Well, I think where people get stuck the most is they don't know how. And that's what I realized when I went through my journey and I did the things that I did that totally transformed my life, from thinking I'd never be happy again to I'm living the most amazing life of my dreams, is that we don't know how. No one teaches us the tools to understand our thinking and what that creates and how we create our own reality. And so I think just not knowing where to start, not knowing what to do, not having the love and support of someone to help them do that is where most of the fear, and why people don't take action, is because they just don't even know where to start.
Yeah, they don't know where to start. So speaking of start, for the people listening today and who really want to make that creative change, taking the first step in their life, what is a good first step for them maybe to take at this point?
One of the places we like to start is to really just pay attention to the internal dialogue that's going on in your head. Because often we're not even aware that there's so many crazy, chaotic thoughts going through our head all the time, and most of which are negative. Most of the things we say to ourselves are negative. So when you begin to tune in and check in, what am I saying to myself? What am I saying about my life? And then begin to try to change them to more positive things that you would like to see, instead of being stuck in this hamster wheel of dialogue of everything that's not working, everything I don't like. I just had this constant loop of, I don't like this isn't working, this didn't happen, this isn't fair. And that just creates a downward spiral.
You mentioned the hamster wheel of thought, of going around in circles. I love that, analogy of it, because we do tend to think the same things over and over again. And I believe it was Albert Einstein or some other scientist that said that insanity is doing the same things over and over, expecting different results.
Absolutely.
And so when we're thinking the thoughts that don't give us or don't produce the results that we're wanting in life, because our thoughts do lead to actions and those goes into results, then we got to start paying attention to that. And so for our audience members today, Michelle just mentioned something very important for you to do as a first step. That is paying attention to your thoughts. And we have a great ability as human beings to criticize ourselves repeatedly. And I have been notorious for this. So when you're going throughout your day, catch yourself. What negative things are you saying about yourself? Because that is causing you to feel a certain way. And this impacts your journey. And Michelle, you have worked so hard on yourself in transformation and getting to where you are today to help hundreds and thousands of clients that you have. But how long have you been doing this type of work of transformation?
Do you know what? It started about 7 years ago. So when I was, a single stay-at-home mom trying to figure out how to leave my marriage and how to provide for my kids, I was lucky enough to have a friend who was dying of ALS. And he was happier dying than I was living my life.
Wow.
And I just thought, what am I doing wrong? If you can figure out how to be happy dying, I should be able to figure this out. And so that led me on the journey to begin searching and reading books and listening to podcasts and taking courses to figure out, how do I be happy? How do I make a life that doesn't suck all the time? Because I knew in my soul there had to be something more than this. This can't be all that we're put here for.
You knew in your soul there had to be something more than this. This is not what we're all put here for. The fact that you went on your journey of investigating, the self-examination, reading the books, the podcasts, that is so important for part of the journey for the people listening today. But something struck me that you just mentioned about your friend who was happier dying than you were living. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You also talk about the challenges are gifts in different wrappings. When I heard that and I saw it, I was like, wow, challenges are gifts in different wrappings. And first thing I thought was, many challenges that we have, or most of the challenges we have, a lot of them are unexpected and we don't want them, right? And so we just reject them. We say, take it back, to where it came from.
Return to sender.
Yes, return to sender. And you're saying that they could be gifts in different wrappings. So can you explain to me and our audience a little bit about this particular gift and wrapping it and what that means to you? Because I find it absolutely fascinating that you have that statement.
Well, it starts with the ability to have choice, right? We have the choice of how we want to feel, which I didn't know I had the choice to choose how I wanted to feel or how I wanted to see a situation. So if I can look at this and go, where is the gift in this? What am I meant to learn? How am I supposed to grow? Why is this happening to me? And what am I supposed to take from it? Then I can see that there's a gift. And so for me, in the midst of going through my second divorce and feeling like the biggest failure, that I would never be happy again, and the pain that I felt in that moment, I never thought I would be grateful for that situation getting to the other side. However, it was the one catalyst that forced me to change, that forced me to begin to learn and grow into the woman that I am today, that I'm so proud of. So I'm grateful for that. So of course now I can see it as a gift. In the midst of it, it's hard to see that. But knowing that when you get to the other side, there's always something in every challenge that you're meant to learn, that you're meant to grow, if you choose to see it that way. And so when you do, then you can see the gift in it.
Ooh, you can see the gift in it. And thinking of gift, I just had this idea about the word challenge. It just came to me here. So if we think about the word challenge, it has another word embedded into it that we don't really see, and that's called change. If you think about the word challenge, so change is actually that gift inside, that what comes about from this challenge to change something in our life. And that is so important. You mentioned getting to the other side, because most of us will assume that when there's a challenge, when there's a problem, or however we want to call it, maybe an obstacle, we just say, okay, that's a stop sign. Let me just go the other direction. And hopefully this thing does not chase me.
Which often it will. If you run away from it, it will chase you and it will find you and it will come bigger and harder and stronger until you pay attention.
So for the person that's listening today, Michelle, and they have this challenge in their life, and it is a big challenge for them, and they've spent a long time just looking at it and not really knowing what to do with it, what would you suggest for them to maybe consider going forward with this challenge that they may have?
A really good example is to look at your life and think, has there ever been a time where I wanted something and it didn't happen? And then when I looked back, I was like, oh, I'm really glad I didn't have that happen. Or I'm glad that things happened differently. But in the moment, I thought that was the answer that I needed or how it needed to unfold. But then as my life unfolded, I realized that I'm glad that didn't happen. And so to just trust the divine timing of everything that's happening, that I can see in hindsight that there's times that that was applicable in my life. And can I trust that the same thing might be happening now? That it's not happening for me in this moment because it's not meant for me. And to just trust that everything's unfolding the way that it needs to be. And I just have to let go of trying to control how it's going to show up. And here's a really important thing for your listeners to understand is we all value certainty and uncertainty, but the people that value certainty more don't like change. But change is the only thing that's guaranteed to happen in life. So the more you can embrace change, the less upset and challenges you're going to have because you just expect change to happen. I just know that change is part of life. But when you think, I never want my life to change, I don't want anything to be different, it's going to change all the time. It's going to be different all the time. And then I'm constantly going to be disappointed all the time. So for me, I really liked schedule. I liked knowing how things were going to unfold, who was showing up, what time. And then there's lots of opportunities to be disappointed. But when I began to let go of that and just let life flow, I began to be less upset and less flustered and challenged when things didn't go the way we think they were supposed to.
Beautiful. And you mentioned go with the flow of life. And I believe this as well, too, because change is always going to happen. And for everyone listening today, be very mindful of some of these statements that you'll hear from people. I don't want you to change. I hope this never changes between us. Or I hope this thing doesn't change at all. You got to be mindful of these things that are going on in their head and in your head, and don't let that be a part of your belief system because, as Michelle mentioned, changes always happen. Does this mean that you got to walk around and just expect for things not to go your way? No. What Michelle is saying is that you are a part of life and life is all about change. So if you have something that you're wanting to experience and maybe it doesn't happen, she just mentioned that maybe it's not the time for it to take place. And when you trust and let go, possibly that time will come. But the more you resist, trust me, I have been here. It's going to take you longer to get that experience. Just let that thing go, or the person or whatever it may not bringing you the result or fulfillment in your life that you truly want. Michelle, you love to work with women, and this is also for everyone listening, anyone listening actually. But let's just go back to working with women in general, because I want to elaborate on this question here. What do you want women to understand about themselves?
This would be an answer to everybody. I want people to know that they have the power to change their life. It's not dependent on your circumstances. It's not dependent on the people that show up. It wasn't until I changed me that I changed my whole life. And the great news is I don't have to wait for anybody else to get their crap together to change my life. I get to do it right now, right here, because I decide. And when I change me, everything will change from that place. So stop waiting for, your kids to do something different, or your spouse to do something different, or your boss to do something different, or,
Hmm.
politics or the world.
Hmm.
Take charge and know that by the changes you make for you, you will change your life, and you have the ability to create something amazing. Life doesn't have to happen to you. You get to create that for you.
And this is why I love you, Michelle. I'm all about creating a life that we truly desire. And that's why when I saw it, I was like, okay, Michelle has to be on this show. She has to be on this show. Because we talk about creating things in our life. That is a person saying, I am taking responsibility for what I'm moving forward in with. And you just reminded me of a Russian novelist. I love him, by the way. His name is Leo Tolstoy. And I may be mispronouncing his name, but he said that we all worry about changing the environment, but very few people are concerned with changing themselves. And it's so important that you just said that we must change ourselves first, because we are basically the creators of our environment. Now, for the people listening, you may say, well, what about all the things going on bad around the world? Here's the thing. We have to get out of this notion of thinking that we can control what's going on around the world. Listen, you can't control the traffic, you can't control the weather, you can't control people who are rude, but you can control how you respond to your environments, meaning where you live and how
Absolutely.
you feel, right? So this is part of changing your life. If you're a reactor and you're just out there being scared of everything that's going on and you're waiting for something to change for you, hey, you're not going to create the life that you want. And Michelle has created the life that she wants right now, because look what she's been through. 2 divorces, and she's been through some other things in her life as well too. But look at her now. She is creating life, and she's helping others to create life. So you cannot sit back and think that, well, I can't do this. Yeah, you can, but you have to take the responsibility of knowing that it's in your hands to create your life. Michelle, we talk about change with the individual, meaning we make our own changes, right?
Yeah.
Why is it difficult, though, for anyone to change or to create the change they want? I mean, people hear that, but why do you think it's so difficult for them just to make the change and to start working on that?
Well, because we've lived a life where we've been imprinted with, our parents' beliefs and the stories that we make up and the hurts that we
Yeah.
have and what society says, that we store all of this information in our subconscious that runs our operating system, that's running in the background, right? We all have an
Hmm.
operating system, and it's made up of a lot of stories and hurts and disappointments, and what do I believe about the world, and what do I believe for myself. And so until you can work with someone to help undo and reprogram that subconscious programming, you're never going to be able to change, because it's still going to take over in the midst of, an automatic response. Until you reprogram that, it's going to still kick in. It's still going to be running the show for you. So yes, it's great to learn some new skills, and you have to reprogram some of those things that are running in the background. And it was interesting because they did a study about people that thought they were lucky in life and unlucky in life. And just that one belief, they set people up and they said, you have to go to this job interview, park in this spot, and go and sit in this seat in this certain restaurant. And they put $100 bill on the ground outside of the parking spot. So everybody that got out of their car had to walk past this $100 bill. Only the people that believed that they were lucky saw the money. All the people that didn't believe they were lucky didn't see the money. It was there,
Oh my.
right? And so once they got inside, they stood everybody up on the interview. Nobody showed up for them. And the people that believed they were lucky found other people to talk to. Somebody made a business partner. Somebody found the love of their life. All the people that believed I'm not lucky got pissed off and left and missed the opportunities that they could have had, making the best of that. So that one belief changes how you live your life, what you see and what you experience. So when there's a whole bunch of those operating, you're missing out on all the beauty and the gifts in life based on what you're focused on, based on what you believe. You're creating the reality from those subconscious thoughts that you have.
That study is absolutely mind blowing. I mean, the people that were lucky, they got out of the car and saw the $100 bill, and then the people who were thought they were unlucky, they didn't see the $100 bill. And that is so true, because those of us who really see life differently, we're intending on experiencing more things associated with that belief, versus those who don't believe so. They're looking for validation of why things are not working for them. And this is
Whether
a
you
hard pill
think you
for anyone to
can or
swallow.
whether you think you can't, you are always right.
Oh, yes, that is so true. I want to go back to the subconscious thinking, because there's some people that may be listening thinking, oh, what does that mean? And I want to kind of give you a visual of your subconscious. So your subconscious is that deep part of you. People call it the deep soul, the deep spirit. But let's just say it's like a basement, right? You're in a house and you're at the top level and you have a basement. And in your basement of your house, you put a whole bunch of things down there that create fumes. Now, we're not encouraging you to do this, but I'm just giving an example for people who are listening, okay? Once again, we're not encouraging you to do this, but let's just say there's fumes in your basement, and they're not the fumes or anything that you should be breathing in, but you put it down there because you think you're going to get it later, right? So you forget about it, and it stays down there. Now, over time, these fumes, they keep seeping up into the floor, up into the area where you are, and you start breathing that in. And then you start getting affected by it, and you're wondering where it's coming from, right? So your thoughts are a lot like this. These subconscious thoughts, these deep thoughts that you have, they're in the basement, and they're seeping up. And you've got to go down in that basement, like Michelle did. Go into that transformation. Start asking yourself questions. Start getting help. Get some help from people and leaders like Michelle who can get you to that point of your life where you can dig in and figure out, what are these thoughts that are causing me to experience this in my life? And you've got to get those out of there. You've got to find a way to remove them and to replace them with better thoughts. Because, hey, if you want to find that $100 bill, you're going to have some better thoughts about your life and yourself. And Michelle, I believe a lot of it is that saying of we're not good enough, right? Is what a lot of people have.
That is the root of everyone that I work with, no matter how smart, how skinny, how pretty, how rich, how successful you are. At the end of the day, at our core, in our soul, we all want to just be worthy and good enough.
We all want to be worthy and good enough. And to our audience, what if you already are? Actually, you are.
You absolutely are. And I use a really great analogy to help illustrate that to people. Is that, imagine we're in the hospital and we go up to the window of the nursery and all the little babies are laying in a row and you see them all there. Do you look at those babies and think one is any more worthy than the other? They're all equally worthy, and we are those babies. And so I ask, what have those babies done to earn being worthy? Well, nothing, because they're babies. They haven't produced anything. And often we think, I have to be successful. I have to make money. I have to do something in order to be worthy. But worthiness comes just because you exist. That's it. It's nothing you can earn or gain. It just is. And so we would never look at one of those babies and think, you deserve to be more happy than this baby. So why do I think now that I'm a grown up that this person deserves to be more happy than I am?
Wow. Worthiness comes because you exist. Wow.
That's it.
That is it. Amazing. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Worthiness comes because you exist. You're already worthy. And you have the ability to create the life that you love.
And you
Michelle,
don't have to earn it. You don't have to perform. And the little side caveat to that is, and they poop their pants. And they're still worthy. So you know what? If you got up and you don't do that today, you're ahead of those little babies. You don't have to perform anything. That you can just be and still be worthy.
Ooh, I love that. And trusting yourself, right? You mentioned earlier, trusting yourself and just loving and accepting yourself for who you are and understanding that you're going to be changing. So why be stuck in a position where you feel like this is all there is? No, there's not. You're changing right now, and so is your environment and your circumstances.
Absolutely. Change is inevitable, so you might as well, you can either embrace it or resist it.
Join the party.
Yep. Stop
I
swimming
love that.
upstream and just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. That is the thing. Go with the flow in life. And if you feel like, well, it's easy for you guys to say because listen, Michelle goes with the flow because she knows what it is or how it's felt to go against the flow. This is why she's here on the show today, because she's created some magnificent things that shows why she was able to go with the flow. And if you're in your life and you're fighting and resisting things, understand the same energy you're using to do that is the same energy you can apply to trying to move forward.
Absolutely. Takes a lot of energy to resist and go against the flow.
It takes so much energy. So, Michelle, well, actually, let's do this here. I know that you have a lot of workshops you do and events. Do you have any upcoming workshops or events that people can come to and begin to start their life transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. And, summer's a little bit of a slower time because people are away, but there's still a few things going on. And then it picks up again in September. So
Okay.
on August 7th, if you are in the Edmonton area, there's a workshop called The Love Journey. And so in that, we learn, where did we learn about love? We never stop to think, how did I learn about love? Or where did I learn? And how was I imprinted in that? And is it healthy love or is it fear-based love? So we explore that of how we show up in love, because often society teaches us fear-based love, not free unconditional love. So that's a really powerful workshop that I have. And then on August 30th, I am going to be guest facilitating at Lifestyle Meditations in Edmonton, a new moon ceremony. So understanding the power of, setting your intentions, letting things go. What do you want to create moving forward? And incorporating some other teachings in that too. So that is pretty exciting. And then in September, there's an event on the 15th called The Power of Unstoppable Women. And so they are bringing in a guest speaker, Dr. Rose Bachman, and she's a very powerful transformational speaker. And so I will be at that event. And then in September, I'm teaching my regular workshops. One is called The Art of Surrender. And that is one of my most powerful workshops, because how do we surrender when life shows up? How do we go with the flow? How do we accept when things aren't going our way? Super important to know. And then the other one on September 11th is called the 5 Magic Questions. And so those are questions that we use to get to the root of what's keeping us stuck, because we all have things that we just constantly keep getting stuck in and we don't know how to move forward. But there's always a reason why we perpetuate that behavior over and over again. And once you get to the root of that and you can transform that, that's where your freedom is, and that's where you can create a life that you really love.
Excellent. And Michelle, how can our audience get in contact with you or connect with you?
So my website is souljourney.co. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Soul Journey Transformations. And I post a lot of videos and quotes and just a lot of information to support your journey, to think of things differently, how to process things differently, how to look at life, and how do I create the life that I love. And if you want to take that journey deeper, I do individual coaching sessions where we work intimately one-on-one to look at what's specifically coming up for you, and then how to get that out of the way, and then how to create new thoughts and behaviors and beliefs to create a life you love.
Excellent. We have come to the moment of the show where everyone waits, the courageous creator question. Only for my courageous creators. So, Michelle, what do you think will happen to the world if people don't create the life they love? What would happen?
I think it's just a downward spiral of unhappiness in our society, that, people have the job and they have the home and they have the family and they have the toys, yet they're not fulfilled. They're stressed. Yeah. They can't sleep. They have anxiety. There's depression. There's so many things that are becoming epidemic in our society. And what's underneath that is that your soul is unfulfilled. You don't know how to do that, or what I even want, or what's most important to me. We've lost ourselves in the busyness of work and achievement and goals and social media, that we've lost ourselves. And so we need to find out who we are, And that's what I help people do, is really discover who you are and what's most important. And then what do I need to do to create a life that I love so that I can sleep at night, so that I can get off those medications, so I can enjoy my family and my kids and my partner and my life, because that's what we were meant to do. We were meant to have an amazing, fulfilling life.
I love that. And that is why, Michelle, you are a courageous creator of your life. I want to thank you for being on our show today. We're so happy to have you here, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
You're very welcome, Michelle. And to our audience, remember that you are all on your soul transformation journeys, and that things are going to happen along the way. Changes are going to happen, and you need to start going with the flow, okay? Don't fight it, because once again, you're going to waste a lot of energy doing that. And to get started with your flow by just understanding what are your thoughts that Michelle mentioned earlier. A lot of us have negative thoughts, and right now you're probably thinking something negative. Don't self-sabotage yourself by being critical. Give yourself time and to get into the hands of people who can actually help you walk through those moments, such as Michelle. But until then, I encourage you all to be that courageous creator in your life. This is the Purposeful Life Show on the Champion Up Podcast with myself, Adrian Starks, and thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed our podcast today, don't forget to give us that 5-star rating and subscribe to the show so you don't miss out on the powerful life-changing content on future episodes. Also, make sure to go to championup.net for even more life-changing content. Until then, I encourage you to be the courageous creator in your life.